The following show is a Pod Avenue production. You are cordially invited to have dinner with the King. Pull up a chair and join WWE Hall of Famer Jerry the King Lawler and Glenn Moore. Enjoy.
It's episode number 88 of Dinner with the King. I'm Glenn Moore, joined here by WWE Hall of Famer, just getting back from his long week in New York City for WrestleMania, Jerry the King Lawler. How you doing, King?
I'm doing good, and what a long week it was. I felt like I spent a month there that week.
You were there for a little longer than usual, right?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I think we flew out. We got there Wednesday, and we didn't leave until the following Wednesday.
Oh, wow.
Lauren and I were in New York, and of course she loved it. She loves going to New York. But I told her the only thing that's going to be different is we're going to be in Brooklyn. We're not going to be in Manhattan with, Fifth Avenue and all of that kind of stuff, Macy's up 34th Street. We're going to be in Brooklyn, right there near the Barclays Center. But it was just a short drive. We did have to do a lot of stuff over in Manhattan, so we Ubered back and forth many times.
Well, that's good. So, obviously, WrestleMania week was huge. There was a lot of stuff going on.
Oh.
We're going to go maybe into it a little step by step because I know you were involved with WrestleCon and even though you weren't at the Hall of Fame, something big happened at the Hall of Fame that we need to talk about. In WrestleMania, you were there for the pre-show, looking spiffy in your tux. And
I got to thank my people, my man, Mike Huey. At American Tuxedos here in Memphis. If you ever need a tuxedo and you're in Memphis, right on Poplar Avenue, Mike Huey's the guy to go see. He fixes me up every year with, a great tuxedo, and he always comps it to me. He's such a good guy. And so anyway, this year, Lauren went in with me to pick it out. And I don't know, usually when I think about tuxedos, I just think about a plain black tuxedo, And so anyway, we went in, and Lauren starts looking around, and she sees this bright red tuxedo. And all of a sudden she holds us up and said, "What about this?" And I said, No, that's too much. That's too far out there. But anyway, she held it up against me and she said, "Try it on." So I tried it on, and she said, "Trust me, you gotta go with the red tuxedo." So I did, and I received so many compliments. Everybody, just all over the place, was telling me how good the red tuxedo looked. So she made the right choice, and I appreciate my guys, Mike Hewitt, American Tuxedo, for hooking me up. And but yeah, that was good. The only time ordinarily I have to wear it for Hall of Fame and for WrestleMania. This time I just wore it for WrestleMania, and we did not go to the Hall of Fame show. I was asked not to go, so I didn't go. You know what I mean?
You were asked not to go?
No, I say that because they called me up beforehand and said, we're switching. We're doing something else where you're not going to be hosting. So when they said I'm not going to be hosting, I felt like that meant they didn't want me there.
Yeah.
So I didn't go. Well, but it was fun. We went out and had a nice meal that night. Went to a movie and all sorts of stuff.
Yeah.
I got to recommend the movie that we went to see in New York.
What was that? You're
gonna laugh.
Pet Sematary.
No, but you know what? That was playing there, and even Lauren suggested, "You want to go see Pet Sematary?" And I said, "Nah." I just, usually when they do a reboot or something like that, I love the original so much that I just thought, oh, it can't be any good. But then, of course, so we didn't go to that. But then I just had somebody tell me the other day, I think it was Eddie Austin, can't tell you what a big fan I was of the original Pet Sematary, and now I'm even a bigger fan of the new Pet Sematary. So it must be really good, and I guess I will go see it. But we went to see. Are you ready?
Yep.
Dumbo.
Oh, Dumbo! Wasn't the trailer like really depressing, or something? Was it? How was the movie though?
I've described it to everybody. I said it was really sad. Because Lauren says he cried during the movie. And I said, well, that was when Dumbo's mother got killed. And then I said, no, wait, that was Bambi. His mother didn't get killed, but he got separated from his mother. Dumbo did. But then they all got back together at the end and had a big happy ending and all that sort of stuff. But it was pretty amazing. It was I had trepidations about it because I'd gone to see Winnie the Pooh, which was, of course, another Disney movie that they did like a live action version of it. And I didn't like that at all. As a matter of fact, one of the few movies that Lauren and I ever walked out on, got him left.
Jeez.
In the middle of the movie. And so I was a little worried about this live action Dumbo, but it turned out to be really good. I mean, I really liked it.
Yeah, I love.
Of course, Danny DeVito was in there, who I worked with at Man on the Moon, and but it was cool. It was cool.
Have you seen the Lion King trailer?
I've not seen that. I've seen the trailer, but yeah, it's not out yet, right?
Right. Yeah, it's the trailer. They just do like the scene where they lift the cub up in the air, and it looks real. It's amazing what they can do with graphics nowadays. But I'm not a big fan of like remakes, like you said. They kind of ruin the original, especially Pet Sematary. I love the original Pet Sematary.
Me too.
But after seeing Eddie Austin tweet that out, maybe I'll give it a chance.
Right. So we'll have to go see it now.
So no Hall of Fame for you. I know we're going to skip around WrestleMania week. So you mentioned Hall of Fame. I know you didn't go, so you weren't there live, sitting there. They changed the setup. Obviously, you weren't hosting for the first time in many years. Corey Graves and Renee were there, but they changed the setup. They had like in the ring, people.
Yeah, a whole different look to
right,
the Hall
right.
of Fame show.
But it kind of opened up what transpired with Bret Hart. A fan came down from the stands or the side and tackled him in the ring.
Yeah, I've seen the video about 200 times.
It took him down. Him and Natalia both went down. And then a whole slew of wrestlers. I don't get why people want to jump in the ring with wrestlers. Guys are, are going to...
Well, I guess at the moment, the idiot thought there's nobody in there but Bret and Natalia. But like you say, anytime you jump in a wrestling ring, man, it's going to fill up immediately, and that's exactly what happened. I don't know who. I mean, everybody. It seemed like everybody out of the audience jumped in and started beating the heck out of this guy, and he got hauled off. And you know what my answer to that was? Hey, that kind of crap never happened while I was hosting Hall of Fame.
Yeah. Well, they didn't have the ring right in the middle of the
no,
floor,
and you know what?
access.
A lot of people were questioning that, but the idea of that was because it was at the Barclays Center, and everything except for WrestleMania, at WrestleMania week centered around the Barclays Center. I mean, that's where they had the NXT show on Friday night, and then Saturday night was Hall of Fame, and then of course Monday night was Raw, and Tuesday night was SmackDown, all in the Barclays Center. So I understood that they said something about the fact they set up for a wrestling show. They had the building set up for a wrestling show on Friday for NXT, and then they're going to have to do it again on Monday for Raw and Tuesday for SmackDown. And if they had gone in there and completely changed the configuration, take it down after NXT and put up the Hall of Fame set, and then take it down and put back the wrestling ring the way it was for NXT for Raw, it was going to be something like $250,000.
Jeez.
Right. So what they did was they just reconfigured things where they could use the ring basically as the stage that they had done in the past and do the show out of that. And it was a kind of a cool concept, except like you said, it did kind of open it up for that situation to happen. I mean, nobody would have ever thought of the way the Hall of Fame was set up before. You couldn't have got it up. You couldn't have ran up on the stage if you'd tried. You were way up in the air over all the audience. So, but anyway, Bret was not hurt. I mean, I talked to Bret the next day, and he was pretty upset about the fact that, and he couldn't really figure out what was going on with the guy. But what was a crazy thing was the next day. I mean, I don't know how much people have followed up on this, but the next day, CBS and people, you know how they do when some crazy person does something, they'll look in their background, they'll look on Facebook and all the social media stuff. And apparently this guy was, he was really out there. He had been sending out some tweets or messages or whatever about he wanted to wrestle, or he thought he was going to have a match with Vince McMahon.
Yeah, he was calling out Vince.
Yeah, he was upset with Vince over the fact that Vince had made an all-female main event for WrestleMania. He put in one tweet that he said, "This is the biggest setback to mankind since like in the history of the world." I mean, so this guy was just crazy. He was upset that they had girls in the WrestleMania main event, so he attacked Bret Hart. Go figure.
And then when you do something like that, it kind of sets up the person to be anything goes, because I think when a person attacks a wrestler or a person or a performer in the ring, you're basically trespassing. So anything goes, and I saw a few guys take shots at this guy.
Right. You know what it reminded me of? Have you ever seen in the past? I mean, it's happened a few times, like during a football game or something. Like it used to be guys would actually take off all their clothes and run out on the football field, or just run out on the football field, and suddenly all of a sudden they just get leveled by a football player, and that's just what happens. You're not supposed to be somewhere where you're not supposed to be, and whatever happens to you happens to you. It's I don't know why people don't think about that before they do that stuff. But I mean, this guy was obviously not in his right mind. Obviously, Yeah.
I saw one. I forget the wrestler. The guy was being let off. He wasn't in handcuffs yet, but he was basically being escorted away, and the one guy took a big shot right in the face as he was walking away. Then he walked away like nothing happened.
Yeah, exactly. It's like a sucker punch. Oh, baby, let me get out of here.
Your times, obviously wrestling for decades. Have you had anybody try to attack you, like a fan jump the ring?
Absolutely. I mean, I can't even. Well, if I sat here and tried to count them up, I probably could tell you, but it happened many times. One night, my old original tag team partner, Jim White, and it was in a Mississippi town somewhere. We were wrestling for the tag team titles, and we had just screwed the baby faces out of the match, and we were holding up these old, real old, heavy, antique-looking belts that Nikita Mokovich used to make, and these things were just unbelievable. Anyway, we were holding these belts up, and all of a sudden, I turn around, and here's two guys had jumped into the ring, and one guy came after me, and it was almost like the guy did Bret Hart. He tried to tackle me, but as he did, he pushed me into the corner in the turnbuckle, and he was like down. His head was like down where my chest was, and he had me around the waist. And unfortunately, unfortunately for him, he didn't grab my arms. And so I had this big heavy belt in my hand, and I just started smashing this guy on the top of his head with this belt. I mean, just bam, bam, bam. I bet I hit him 10 times, and blood was flying out all over the place. So anyway, and a cop finally got the guy's foot from outside the ring and pulled it so hard that he fell over, and they pulled him out of the ring, but his head was just gushing with blood. But unfortunately, the other guy, when my partner Jim White, when they were coming in the ring, Jim White turned around, and this guy was throwing a punch at Jim, and I guess as Jim tried to back up out of it, and all the guy hit with his punch, with his full force, was just nothing but Jim's nose from the side. Oh. I mean, he hit him right in the nose, and just boom. It broke Jim's nose and knocked his. I've never seen anything like it. I mean, when he turned to me, and it happened so fast, he was like in shock, and all of a sudden, and he just turned to me, and I looked at him and I went, "Oh my God!" His nose was completely over under his right eye. It was crazy. It was like a plastic surgeon had taken his nose and pulled it to the side of his face, right? And so anyway, he had to go. Of course, we got those guys out of there. Jim had to go to the hospital, and the guy that I hit with the belt had to go to the hospital. But I mean, they had to do surgery on Jim's nose, and it never did look right after that. But yeah, I mean, all kind of crazy stuff has happened in the past. One of my I may have told this story before, but one of my most famous incidents of being involved with a fight with a fan was, this had to be, oh gosh, I can't even remember, maybe late 70s or something like that. Back when Ricky Gibson just came into Ricky Gibson, Robert's older brother, had just come into our territory, and he was getting over like crazy. And I was fighting in a match against Ricky Gibson at the Mid-South Coliseum. And oh gosh, the backstory to this was the Liberty Bowl, which is our bowl game, football game, college football game. The Liberty Bowl had just been moved to Memphis from Philadelphia. It started out and was originated in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. For some reason, they moved it to Memphis, and that became our annual bowl game called the Liberty Bowl. And the founder of it was a businessman named Bud Dudley, just the nicest guy you ever want to meet, Bud Dudley. And when he came to Memphis, brought the Liberty Bowl, he was like, oh my gosh, he was all suddenly like a local hero. You know, everybody knew and loved Bud Dudley, and brought a national bowl game to Memphis. So it was not long after that. Anyway, I'm get back to the story. I'm wrestling Ricky Gibson. I'm punching him and we fall outside the ring there at the Coliseum, and we're fighting on the floor now. And I'm hitting him, he's hitting me, and all of a sudden somebody grabs me from behind and like a bear hug, but from behind, right? And they had my arms and everything, and I looked down and I could see the guy's head, you know, to my right side. So I reached up with my left arm. That's all I could get was my hand, and I could grab a handful of his hair. And when I got his hair, I dropped to one knee and I sort of just kind of beeled him over. I just flipped him right over onto where I flipped him right in front of me, and I hung onto his hair at the same time. And as I did, I just pulled his head up and I started punching him in the face, like bam, bam, bam. I mean, and I'm pulling his head into my shots, right? And I must have hit the guy, and it was almost like the guy with the belt. After about the third punch, blood just started splattering out of his face, right? And I'm punching this guy. I must have hit him 7 or 8 times right in the face, hard as I could. By that time, the police got up there and grabbed him and pulled him back. And I just went right back, grabbed Ricky Gibson, threw him back in the ring, and we kept fighting and finished our match. And so anyway, I went back to the dressing room, and I'm in the dressing room and sitting in there. Somebody came in. I said, "Man, did you see that? Did you see that guy attack me out there?" I said, "I blasted him in the face." And the guy said, "Yeah, you know what?" He said, "What?" He said, "That was Bud Dudley's son. He and Bud Dudley were here at the matches. That was his son, and he's mentally handicapped.
Oh my God!
And now he's gone to the hospital." And I went, "What?" He said, "Yeah, that's Bud Dudley's son." And I went, "Oh my gosh!" So anyway, I jumped in my car and I drove over, found out the hospital. I drove over to the hospital, and I went to the emergency room. I went back there into his room. His name was Frankie, Frank, or they call him Frankie. Frank Dudley, Bud Dudley's son. And apparently when he was like 5 years old or something, he had been hit by a car. And he suffered some brain damage at that time. And so he really, I think he was a teenager at this point, but his mind hadn't progressed at that point. So he didn't really always know exactly what he was doing. So I walked into the emergency room, and oh my gosh, here's poor Frankie laying there. And his lip was split, like from the bottom of his lip all the way up to his nose. They had some kind of pins holding his eye open, where the other eye was like swollen shut, and they had some stitches over the other eye, and they were working on the cut on his lip. They were trying to sew that up, and I walked in and I just felt like I was going to pass out, right? And all of a sudden, Bud Dudley was there, and he came over to me and immediately said, "Mr. Lawler, don't feel bad. This was not your fault at all." And he said, "It's all my fault." He said, "Frankie has been wanting to come to the wrestling matches for months now, ever since we got to Memphis." And he said, "I agreed to bring him tonight." And he said, "It was my fault because I let him sit." We were on the corner of the row. I let him sit on the end seat of our ringside seats. And he said, "I knew I shouldn't have done it, but I let him sit there because he could see better." And just one point, a lady next to me said something to me. He said, "I turned to my left to talk to her." And he said, "I took my eye off of Frankie for a second. I turned to my left. And when I looked back, Frankie had already jumped out of his seat and ran up, and he had his arms around you.
Oh man.
And he said, and the bad thing is, he said, Frankie loves you. He's a big fan of yours. And he said, I think he was just trying to hug you. And I'm going, oh my gosh. And so anyway, it was just it was a terrible thing. And then Bud Dudley said, Frankie, look who's here. Mr. Lawler's come to see you. He said, there was a big riot at the Coliseum tonight, and Mr. Lawler saved you. So people were getting hit and beat up and everything, but Mr. Lawler saved you. And I just it was a sad situation, but then I became really good friends with Bud Dudley. Did some appearances for him and that sort of thing at the Liberty Bowl after that, and I still just a couple of years ago saw Frankie out somewhere, and he came up to me and said, "Do you remember me?" And I said, "Yes, Frankie. I'll never forget you, buddy." But anyway, yeah, that was. But yeah, I mean, that kind of stuff happens in the wrestling business. You know, I was going back from the ring one night, and I thought this guy was reaching his hand out to shake hands with me. I went to shake hands with him, he all of a sudden he lunged forward, and he had a pocket knife in his hand. Stuck me right in the stomach with the knife. Jeez. So yeah, you get stuff like that. I mean, you can find a lot of guys back in the territory days that will have a lot worse stories than I have of those old war stories of getting attacked by fans. I want to talk about something right now that I'm so excited about. It's the fact that I've just become a member of Butcher Box. I'm sure you're saying, what, King, is Butcher Box? Well, I'll tell you. Butcher Box is a company that delivers 100% healthy, grass-fed, grass-finished beef, free-range organic chicken, and heritage breed pork right to your front door. That's right. I just came home the other day to this huge box, frozen in dry ice, of the greatest looking and the most delicious meat that you've ever seen. And all Butcher Box meat is free of antibiotics and hormones and humanely raised on open pastures. I want to tell you something. I'll tell you about my own personal experience with Butcher Box. I opened it up, and it was amazing. It was the most amazing steaks and sausage and pork. It was just unbelievable. And the difference in the quality of the meat when compared to the grocery store is amazing. And it's so much easier than going to the grocery store and tromping up and down the aisles, looking in the meat aisles. I mean, the convenience of the delivery and packaging and the timeliness is just awesome. And let me tell you about a special the Butcher Box has going on right now. This month, Butcher Box is offering the Ultimate Breakfast Bundle. Now, this includes 2 packages of bacon and 2 pounds of breakfast sausage, all free in your first box. Now, their bacon is some of the best bacon that you'll ever taste. I promise you that. I can tell you that from experience. It's whole, 30 approved, uncured, nitrate, and sugar-free. And the sausage, oh man, the sausage is healthy, authentic version of a classic-style pork sausage, simply seasoned with just salt, pepper, and sage. It's delicious. Right now, get this, new members will get 2 packages of bacon and 2 pounds of breakfast sausage added to your first box absolutely free. Plus, you'll get $20 off your first box. So go now while supplies last. This is a limited time offer. Get the Ultimate Breakfast Bundle. That's 2 packages of bacon and 2 pounds of breakfast sausage for free in your first box, plus $20 off your first box. So here's how you do it. Go to butcherbox.com/king or enter the promo code KING. That's butcherbox.com/king or promo code KING. I promise you, take my word for it, you will love this meat. You won't regret it.
Well, King, and then we talked about your looking great in your tux for WrestleMania, but then we saw you on WrestleMania for the pre-show, live from the stadium, and I was wondering what the weather was going to be like. Outdoor stadium, New York City, man. April, and according to the website, I mean, it wasn't that bad of weather.
Oh my gosh, it was beautiful. It couldn't have been better. And, you know, like maybe a week before WrestleMania, everybody was concerned because the Weather Channel and some of the people were actually predicting a nor'easter, a nor'easter, whatever they call those things, those big storms that turn into snowstorms or rainstorms, to come up through New York right at the time of WrestleMania. And so, and also they spent a ton of money working on and building a heated ring for the show. because they were afraid that it was going to be very cold as well. Because, I mean, gosh, there's still parts of Wisconsin today has a big snowstorm. So that's the global warming for you, I guess. But anyway, they were anticipating bad weather, but it couldn't have been nicer. My gosh, it was so beautiful out there. The day just turned out perfect. It like rained the day before. It had been miserable, kind of cold and damp and rainy and drizzly, like for 3 days leading up to Sunday. And then all of a sudden Sunday, it turns off beautiful. Like it was in the upper 60s. It was a great day for it. Couldn't have been better.
Yeah. I remember WrestleMania 29 was in that same stadium, and it was drizzling and it was colder. So it was great to know that it was warmer. And they're actually, W put a video out on how they make the ring with the heat. The vents underneath the ring, and then they had some heating lamps above the ring too. So I'm sure the guys competing. I'm sure you were ringside. I'm sure you were nice and toasty.
You didn't notice. You didn't notice anything. It was just like perfect. It was just couldn't have been better.
I can only imagine if they go back to New York early April again, and for some reason a huge snowstorm came. I mean, did they cancel WrestleMania?
That's a good question. I don't know if they would cancel WrestleMania.
I mean, could you imagine?
I think about this every year at WrestleMania time, and wonder why. I don't wonder. It shows me why cities vie for the opportunity to host WrestleMania. It's unbelievable how many people and how much money WrestleMania brings into a city. I mean, and I really noticed it by being there for an entire week before WrestleMania and during WrestleMania. It's just it's amazing. It's unbelievable how many people come from all over the world, all over. I mean, just every country you can imagine. People are there to see WrestleMania. So I can't. What would people do if, like you said, if you canceled it and tried to have it the following week? I mean, probably half the people couldn't stay in the country. They'd have to. They already had plans to leave the country before that. So anyway, that didn't happen, thank goodness. But yeah, the weather turned out to be not a factor at all.
Yeah, it was a little crazy to see so many people there sell out. I think I set a record for the most fans in there for a WWE event. I mean, it was spectacular. And we're not going to run down the whole show because, I mean, the show lasted until freaking 1 o'clock in the morning Eastern time.
Yes, it did. It was a long one.
It was.
I'll just give you my account of the events and what all I did. And that's the great thing about WrestleMania. When I got there, of course, I did the pre-show. Everybody had to get there at 10 o'clock in the morning. So you were downstairs from your hotel room at 8 o'clock. All the talent had to meet in the green room at 8:30. And then this was something that we'd never experienced before. Everybody had to take all your bag, your suitcases, everything that you were taking to WrestleMania at the hotel. Everybody had to put all your bags with your tuxedos and your dresses and all that. So you had to put them in this big ballroom, right? And all the wrestlers had to go back out into the green room. And then they brought in these bomb-sniffing dogs. Wow. Now, this was still at the hotel. They bring in bomb-sniffing dogs, and they went around to everybody's luggage and everything, and to clear all the luggage that was going to be taken into the stadium. So that took like maybe 20, 30 minutes. So then by, I think it was like 9:15 or so, everybody got their stuff, went outside on the buses, put your bags on the buses, and everybody got on a bus and headed over to the MetLife Stadium. And, from Brooklyn over to MetLife Stadium, that's a pretty good haul, and especially in New York City. So we fortunately it was great. We had a escort. If I remember right, we didn't really have a big escort leaving New York and while we were in the state of New York. But as soon as we got over into New Jersey, where, of course, MetLife Stadium is, man, there were all kind of police cars and everything waiting for the buses, and they jumped out in front, and you didn't have to worry about stopping at any more red lights. It was a big escort all the way to MetLife Stadium. And like I said, everybody had to be there by 10 o'clock. We unloaded the buses. Everybody got out and went to went to their dressing rooms or locker rooms or whatever it was, and it's always amazing when you walk into a stadium and see for the first time what the WrestleMania, the whole look of the stadium is like, and you see that huge, the huge screens and everything in the back where the wrestlers are going to come out. It's breathtaking when you go out and walk out, before there are any people there, and just to see what that looks like. And so that was cool. Then I had to we did a little rehearsal for the pre-show, and then I had to do the pre-show. I mean, pre-show started like 5:00. And so, I mean, from that time on, it was like nonstop all the way, because there were like I think 4 matches during the pre-shows.
Jeez. Yeah.
I think there were 4 matches during the pre-shows. So it was nonstop. We started at 5. I was in the first hour of the pre-show with sitting next to Paige. She was great.
Yeah.
And JBL was in there, and so it was. With all of those matches in the pre-show, there was not really a whole lot of time for talking. So we just kind of sat there, and we all each had an opportunity to say something about some of the matches that were coming up. But basically, it was just sitting and watching wrestling matches at that point. So then when the pre-shows were over, I had to rush down because I was scheduled to do the AJ Styles and Randy Orton match, and they were first. I mean, this was a match a lot of people said this match may steal the show. Well, that was the first match on the WrestleMania. And so I was getting all my stuff ready, and I dressed in the talent relations room with Hulk Hogan and Jimmy Hart. And so we're just in there talking a little bit, but then finally I got my tuxedo on. Jimmy Hart had to button my neck button. I can button every button on my shirt except the last one. I have to have somebody button the collar button for me. So Jimmy helped me with that. And I got my tuxedo on and the bow tie. And so right as I'm getting my stuff on, somebody comes in and says, "Got a last minute change." I said, "What's that?" And they said, I don't know. Apparently Brock Lesnar went in and had a meeting with Vince, and when he came out, they changed the card, and Brock Lesnar and Seth Rollins are going on first. And I went, whoa, wow. I mean, that was like a shock to me. I mean, this is the match that was, scheduled to go on right before the girls' main event, right? And so suddenly they wanted to go on first. And I don't know if there was heat or what the deal was, but so anyway, they just changed the card that Brock and Seth went on first, and then we went out for the second match. And it was just, man, you got hustled out there, and we were standing out there when Brock Lesnar was still lying in the ring looking at Seth up on the stage, and he's waving the championship around. And I'm waiting to go in and sit down and take over. I don't know who came out on there. Who did the commentary on the first one? Was that Michael and Corey and Renee?
Yeah, Renee. Yeah.
I think so. Yeah, I think so. And so then all of a sudden me and Tom are standing there, and just like instantly, it was like a big rush. All of a sudden, Michael Cole gets up, Renee gets up, and they says, get in there quick, put your headsets on. And we had to run in real quick, put the headsets on, and bang. I mean, there was no dead air between us. So then we went right on with our match, and with AJ and Randy Orton. And then as soon as that match was over, get up, get your headset off, go, hurry. And boom, they rushed you right out through the crowd into the back, and that was it, So then I went back to my dressing room, and Hulk, of course, Hulk Hogan had just opened the show, so he was already through with his part, and of course I think he wore what he did open the show in, just his Hulk T-shirt, right? Yeah. So he didn't have to change clothes or anything. So he was sitting there and waiting for me to get through. And as soon as I was through with my match, I came back, I took my tuxedo off, and I put my WWE T-shirt on, and me and Hulk and Jimmy Hart got in a golf cart, and they took us around and met Lauren and Hulk's wife. And they met us, and they had a car waiting for us, and we left MetLife Stadium and went and had dinner at this great Italian restaurant right under the Brooklyn Bridge. So we left right after my match and went and had dinner. Me and Hulk and Jimmy Hart and Lauren and Jennifer.
So you didn't deal with all the traffic. And...
I did. That's what everybody prays for. Everybody on the show, you're all looking at what time you could get out of there and everything. But 90% of everybody has to stay to the bitter end because you have to go on back on the bus you came on. But thank goodness Hulk has a lot of pull around there for some reason, and he got us a limousine. They came and picked us up, and off we went. And went to dinner. It was really nice, and we just laughed and talked and ate this great dinner and dessert and all of this sort of stuff. And we just kept talking. And I swear, I bet we stayed in there till I bet 11:30, right? And we came out, and WrestleMania was still going on.
Oh my God, yeah.
It went on to almost 12:30, didn't it?
Yeah, it was almost till 1 o'clock in the morning when the final shot of WrestleMania was closing out. It's a marathon, man, and I'm a huge fan of WrestleMania, but it's like, geez, and it's 7 hours, almost 8 hours. Is that too much? I mean, I know it's a juggernaut. I mean, they're making millions of dollars. There's a lot of money involved. But for the fans, though, I mean, you're sitting there for 8 hours.
I'll tell you this. I talked to a lot of fans since WrestleMania, and a lot of them mentioned the fact that it was really long. I had a lot of people tell me I couldn't stay awake for the last match. I had to tape it. I couldn't stay awake. But honestly, nobody complained about how long it was. Mm-hmm. They said, "Man, it was a long show," but they didn't say, "Oh, it was too long." Nobody complained.
An idea that was being thrown around on Twitter I saw was maybe making WrestleMania 2 nights.
Ooh, yeah.
Have half the card, maybe your first main event on like a Saturday night, and then have the next half on a Sunday night closing out. That way, you make double the money. You're doubling the tickets up for people. You have more matches. And
I think without a doubt it would sell out both nights. You're right.
Oh, definitely.
I mean, there were so many wrestling connected events going on in New York City all week long, and every single thing that was going on drew big crowds. I mean, a wrestling show that was not WWE sold out Madison Square Garden.
Yep.
That's unheard of during that week. So it was a crazy thing.
Do you think that upset Vince at all? Madison Square Garden is like, that's the mecca for WWE, and have other wrestling promotion, which has never been done before, sell it out. Do you think Vince cares or no?
I don't know. I don't think he ever said anything about it one way or the other.
Yeah.
He's too busy with WrestleMania. And you know what? I know I have heard Vince say this in the past, coming right out of his mouth. Vince does not, I don't know what to be the right word. He does not hold it against anybody for somebody going out and trying to make a buck.
Right.
I've heard him say, somebody that just left the company or something, going out and doing something that you might consider going against the company. And Vince is say, "Hey, man, everybody's got to make a living," and that's right. I mean, that's his way of thinking, and I think that he looks at it that way. But there's so much going on in Vince's world during WrestleMania. I don't even think he gives a thought to all the other stuff that's going on around it.
Yeah. Until someone becomes a threat.
There was a lot of stuff.
Yeah. Until someone actually becomes a threat, like a legitimate threat to WWE. I don't think anybody's a blip on his radar.
I don't either. And I don't see anything really becoming a threat to WWE.
Well, you got JR, even
AEW. Yeah, I don't think that'll ever be a threat. Even if they become a big, successful company, I don't think it'll be a threat to WWE. I think, as we've witnessed once before, there's plenty of room in the world for more than one major wrestling company. Right. I just believe that.
And SmackDown, it's only half a year, 6 months until they start on Fox, which is a $1 billion contract. So I agree with you. It's not like people are hurting for money in wrestling. It's just there's so many wrestlers now. There's such a deep pool of wrestling in the indie scene that I think there's plenty of money and plenty of talent to spread around.
I agree. And
I like really quick, JR is in AEW now. We can say it here on the podcast.
Yeah, and you know what? I mean, a big part of my WrestleMania week was spent with JR.
Yeah.
I mean, Lauren and I he called poor JR. I think he sort of got deposited up there by his buddy Raphael, and Raphael was busy working on the other wrestling show and that sort of thing. And he put JR in this nice hotel in the Soho district there in New York, which was kind of a not hippie, but kind of hip part of New York with all these millennials and stuff like that. And he just sort of left JR there, right? And because Raphael was out busy doing other stuff. And I believe JR was just kind of like lonesome. And man, he started texting me and Lauren over and over. And then finally on Friday, he said, "Hey, you guys want to come and have dinner with me?" I said, "There's the real nice. It's like this SDK Steakhouse, supposed to be one of the nicest ones in New York." So we got in an Uber and we headed over and met JR, and we went to dinner with JR. And I don't know, it may have been one of the nicest restaurants ever, but the service was. The service wasn't that bad. It just took forever. The place was packed, and it took forever to get your food. And it was very loud in there. Yeah. But other than that, we had a real nice dinner, and then we left JR later, about 11:30 that night. And then the next day, I had to go and meet JR again at noon, and we did a show together. Probably the last, the last dual show that JR will do. We were at the Gotham Comedy Club. And the two-man show talking about, our past experiences in WWE. And that went for about 2 hours, and huge turnout. I've always said about New York, I mean, there's so many people there. You draw a sellout to see flies have sex. No. But it's just, I don't usually word the have sex, but you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Anyway, there was a ton of people. I bet there were, in this comedy club, I bet it was at least 500 people. And the show was great, and and JR was good, and like you said, he signed on with the AEW, and we want to wish him the best.
There you go. Well, the reason why I bring up JR and AEW is because I've seen a flood of people say, "Well, bring the King, bring the King in AEW, right." And they say JR there, and they want you there, but I mean, we talked about it on the podcast before when you signed it. I mean, you have a 2-year deal with WWE, you ain't going nowhere.
Right, exactly.
So if people are wishing to see JR and the King, unfortunately, within the next couple of years, it's not going to happen.
Well, JR and I were talking when my contract was coming up, and this was back in January, and JR's contract didn't come up for renewal until May, not May, till March, March 29th or something like that. Yeah. And mine came up like January the 10th. So I was kind of under the gun, and we had talked about, what would happen if the AEW rather would call the two of us and try to put us together on the show, and I'm thinking, that would be cool in a sense. But I have another friend, Mike Kingston, who we do the Comic Cons with, and he does the Headlock comic books. He's in real good with like the guys in the, what do they call, the Bullet Club or something like that? The Young
Bullet
Bucks.
Club, Bullet Club,
yeah. He's good friends with them, and he had told me a few months ago when everybody was talking about that he said they have a real good friend that they're real high on to do commentary. I didn't know the guy, but some mask guy. Do you know who that would be? Wears a mask.
Excalibur.
Yeah, that's it. Excalibur. Some guy named Excalibur is going to be JR's partner, and I asked JR. I said, he's going to wear a mask? And he said, yeah, for some reason. I said, well, yeah. I said, what's the reason for that? He said, I don't know. I guess we'll have to ask him. But anyway, so he's going to have a masked co-host. And then, is it Brian Alvarez? You know that name?
Brian Alvarez, he does the Meltzer show. He's a part of with Meltzer. I think it's Alex Marvez.
Alex Marvez, that's him.
Yeah.
I swear I get the two of them mixed up all the time. But Alex Marvez, who is apparently a football radio guy or something, he's good friends with the Jacksonville Jaguar owner, and so apparently it's It's him, and then apparently he's never done any wrestling broadcast before. This is going to be a first for him. So it's going to be a 3-man booth: JR, Alex Marvez, and Excalibur.
Well, there you go. So you put all the rumors to rest. The King is not going
and
anywhere.
those were the rumors I heard beforehand, and sure enough, that is what came true. So when it came time for me to renew my contract, it was the old bird in the hand is worth 2 in the bush. I mean, they came and offered me more money and a 2-year contract, and I've been perfectly happy with WWE throughout my entire career, and I saw no reason to change any of that.
There you go. So,
but JR, on the other hand, got a huge deal. Huge.
Bigly.
Yep.
But
and I'm proud of him. It's good for him.
Definitely. I saw there was a video they posted. They kind of announced JR with AEW, and it was cool to see JR, sitting in his house, saying, I'm ready to get back to work, ready to do more into wrestling. I'm not done yet. And it's always good to see, as a fan, people that see legends in their eyes are still in the business, still, trying to do some good. So it's always good to see. And it's good for JR to stay busy and be a part of something that's hopefully maybe big.
I agree. I have complete faith in JR being able to uphold his end of the bargain. I'm a little concerned about, 2 other guys. It's always finding the right chemistry with your broadcast partners out there, and sometimes that doesn't necessarily happen. No matter how good the guys are, it's just all about that chemistry there. But JR, I mean, he's worked with a lot of different guys, and I don't think he's ever really had a problem with any of them. So I got faith in him. He'll do good.
Well, we talked about Hall of Fame, WrestleMania, you and JR. I mean, anything else happened over WrestleMania?
Well, WrestleCon.
Yeah.
WrestleCon was big.
Oh my God! I think it seems like every year the list gets longer and longer with people involved with wrestling that are going to be there making appearances.
Yeah, there was everybody there. And it was like it was at some big hotel. I don't know whatever it was. I can't remember right offhand. But they had like 3 floors of every available meeting room or whatever filled with wrestlers just sitting and signing autographs and taking pictures with people. And that was really cool. I was scheduled to appear for my buddy Mike Lombardi, who owns the Northeast Wrestling Company. He had booked me, Renee Young, and Corey Graves to be his guests or at his tables there, and also David Arquette. He booked us to be at his tables at WrestleCon. So something happened on the first day, which was I think Friday. Yeah, Friday, and WWE had double booked Corey Graves and Renee Young early in the morning, I believe, at Access, and so they couldn't get there until in the afternoon. So I was there from 10 until 1 signing, and so I was kind of basically by myself, which made it really nice. Except for, right across the table from me, right across the hall from me was handsome Jimmy Valiant was sitting at a table. He was signing, and it was like old home week for a minute. Because then right on my left was Ricky and Robert Gibson, the Rock and Roll Express were there, and Bobby Eaton was sitting over here, and Coco Beware was sitting over there. So it was really cool. It was like I said, an old home week. And then all of a sudden, let's see what time, I don't know. All of a sudden, I was there maybe at about 11 o'clock. I hear this commotion and everything, and there was a table to my right that had been empty, and so all of a sudden I see people coming out.
Let me guess. Can I guess who it was?
Who they brought in to sit next to me?
Yes.
Yes.
Well, that was making the commotion.
Yeah, who?
Bob Backlund.
Oh, no. It wasn't Bob Backlund.
Oh, okay.
Bob Backlund did come around the next day. Bob Backlund came around when me and Corey Graves and Renee Young were there. Bob Backlund came around and got in front of the table with Renee Young at it and did a headstand.
Yeah, I saw that. Somebody posted a video on that. Yes. That's why I guess Bob Backlund.
Well, no, Bob Backlund was a refreshing distraction to what this other guy was.
Oh, no.
Oh, it was so annoying. And I'm not knocking the guy or anything. He was doing his gimmick. He was still still doing his gimmick, loud, real loud, and yelling. People were yelling back at him and all that.
Tatanka.
So, guess who?
Tatanka? He was doing the
No. Any more guesses? Who might be loud and sort of? Yeah, I can't say he was obnoxious. He really wasn't. He just kept doing his yelling.
Iron Sheik?
Oh no.
No. Who was it?
Enzo Amore.
Oh no.
Yep.
Oh my God.
Enzo Amore.
What was he saying? How you doing every 5 seconds?
Yeah, how you doing every 5 seconds? And what's the other one? Still legit or something like that, you know?
You can't teach that. Oh my
God. Shouting out his catchphrases throughout the whole time. But, you know, he had to, because that's the fans that were coming up to get their picture made with him or to get his autograph, they were shouting out at the same thing, you know. So anyway, so he was there on Friday. Then Saturday, he didn't come back. So that was a relief. Saturday, David Arquette took over Enzo Amore's table. And then me and Corey Graves and Renee Young were sitting next to each other. I had my own table. Then Corey and Renee had a table, and then David Arquette was next to them. So that was the way it was supposed to be. But then I had to leave a little bit early because I had to go do the show with JR at noon. So I was there from 9 until 11:30, and then went and did that. But that was cool. That was a lot of fun there. Yeah. That's where you sit there and you meet all of these people, and you hear about all the places they've come from. When this one gentleman comes up, and a Japanese guy, and he's come all the way from Tokyo, Japan, I think, and spoke very limited English, but he comes up and he says, "Mr. Lawler, I brought you this." And I look at it, and it's a big box. Now, this guy brought this thing all the way from Japan.
Right.
He's never met me. I don't even know if he was sure he was going to meet me, but he brings me this. It was the coolest thing. It was, and the box was so cool. I didn't open it until I got home, and I got it put together this morning. But it was this. I guess I'll tweet it out, a picture of it a little bit later on. But it was like a kid's toy, and it was almost like if you look at the box, the cover of it was like this big. What would put you in mind of in Japan of Godzilla rampaging, stomping on the streets of Tokyo. You know, that was the image. Except instead of it being Godzilla, it was a big giant Coca-Cola machine.
What?
Yeah, a big giant Coca-Cola machine with arms coming out the side, all these Cokes in its chest, and these two big legs, and it's stomping around and a big robot-looking head on it. So it was a Coca-Cola robot that was destroying Japan. And in actuality, it's a bank. It's a coin bank. So you put batteries in it. I opened it up. I put some batteries in its leg, and you drop a coin in it, and all of a sudden its head starts turning from side to side. Its eyes light up. Its whole chest lights up with all these Coca-Colas in his chest. And he starts, I have no idea what he's saying because it's all in Japanese, but he starts talking in Japanese. And this is crazy. I mean, you know, it's a great gift. There's no telling how much it costs. But this guy brought it. I'd never met him before in my life. This guy brings this thing all the way from Japan and just said, "Mr. Lawler, I brought this for you."
That's
so
amazing.
if you're out there somewhere, it's all sort of like Panini. If you're out there somewhere in Japan and you get this, I said, "Thank you very much. I really enjoyed my Coca-Cola robot."
Is it in the Coca-Cola room?
I haven't got it upstairs. I've still got it downstairs where anybody that comes in can see it. It's still on. It's not on permanent display yet. It's just still on right out of the box. I got the box sitting next to it. I'll tweet out a cool picture of it later.
Yeah, tweet a picture out. People like to see that. That's crazy.
So anyway, yeah, that was WrestleCon was fun. I got to, different guys would stop by and say hello, and you get to see guys. As I was leaving WrestleCon, having to leave early to go and do the show with JR, I went by this guy's table. He had a huge line, and as soon as he saw me, he jumped up and he told me to come over to his line. He's just like cut his line off. He told me to come over, and he's told everybody in his line, he said, "I got to tell everybody that I am the only man on earth. I'm the only man on earth. I wrote this in my book, but I'm the only man on earth that went to Memphis, Tennessee and beat the King for his title and didn't have to go back and lose it. I never went back, and I never lost to the King. I'm the only man on earth, the only wrestler in the world that's ever done that. And I said, yeah, you're right. That's the truth. It was Jesse Ventura.
Oh, Jesse the Body.
Jesse the Body was there.
Was he spewing out his conspiracy theories?
Oh my gosh! Immediately after telling everybody that, he started telling me that he may run for president again.
Okay. And
that he's got some. He said, they're all interested in Trump's tax returns. He said, I'm gonna confront him and ask me to show me the X-rays of your bone spurs that kept you out of the draft.
Oh my God!
Yeah,
See the Body Ventura. Everybody knows that he was a governor, so he has some politics experience.
Absolutely. Yeah,
the guy is just. I mean, I loved his conspiracy theory show because I'm a big conspiracy theory guy myself, but some of these are a little out of left field.
Yeah, it was. But yeah, and he's not a Donald Trump fan at all.
Oh.
At all. Wow. And he told me he spends most of his time in Mexico. He lives in Mexico now. Oh. Could you run for president if you live in Mexico?
I mean, I don't know how that works. I mean, you got to be a natural born citizen, be a certain age. So, I mean, I don't think you want to hang out in Mexico if you're president. I mean, Trump gets people mad just for hanging out in Florida.
Oh my gosh, no lie.
Jeez. All right, so WrestleCon was great. WrestleMania was great. Hall of Fame, you did not go, but you had a nice evening out.
Yes.
So you came back home, and then you had to fly out for this past weekend, and you were gone all weekend for doing shows.
Oh, yeah. Let's see. I think Friday night I wrestled for my buddy Burt Prentice up in Gladville. I'm about losing my voice. We've talked a long time here. But actually, Lebanon, Tennessee, up past Nashville, went up there, drove up there, and wrestled for Burt. And then the next day, got to get up early in the morning, flew out to Washington, D.C., where my buddy Brian from Baltimore and his wife picked me up, and we headed up to, what was the name of the city that was in West Virginia? Somewhere in West Virginia.
But it wasn't Ranson?
Ranson? I think that was it. Yeah, it was like Branson, except without the B. So it was Ranson, West Virginia, and this company called Primal Conflict Wrestling. Man, what an awesome building. Somewhere there in Ranson, West Virginia, there was this big building that speaking of Coca-Cola machines, it used to house a place where they built like Coca-Cola machines. And for some reason, it was not used for that anymore. And so it just cleared this whole building out, gutted it out, and they made it into the greatest little sports arena. You could tell they had basketball and all sorts of sports inside this building, and it was really, really nice event, or nice venue for the wrestling show. And the company called Primal Conflict Wrestling, they had me come up, and we did a really cool show that night. They also had, who else was there from? Oh, one of my all-time favorite divas.
Kelly.
Kelly Kelly's going to be on the next thing that we're going to talk about. But no, Jillian Hall.
Oh, Jillian, yes.
I'm going to tell you something.
Oh, boy. Oh, no.
What?
You had I'm going to tell you something. Like, you had that Jerry Lawler voice.
Well, I mean, she told me when was the last time. I don't know when she was there, like 2002, something like that.
Yeah, it's been a while.
But, man, she looks fabulous. She's a beautiful girl. Yeah. Really is.
She's dating someone notable now, I think. She's dating a wrestler.
She lives and she's moved to Nashville.
Oh, okay.
Or Hendersonville. Who's she dating?
Oh, geez. I forget. I read it somewhere. I read somewhere that she recently dated someone that was kind of notable. Oh, my God.
I don't know.
I'm doing my best to research here.
Well, I think she was there sort of by herself, and we had to talk a little bit. She really looks great, man. I don't know why she's not still doing more with the business. But
yeah,
she's
I saw some photos that she does look terrific.
Oh yeah, she really does. So anyway, that was Saturday night, and then what is today? Monday. Yesterday.
Yeah.
Yesterday was a long day. It was Lauren's dad's birthday, so we went over and had a little dinner with them. And I went to bed early last night because I'd gotten up real early the last 2 mornings.
Oh, yeah, flying.
But I got a bunch of stuff coming up, and there's no rest for the weary. Even with Easter next Sunday, this Saturday I have to fly out to to Fort Wayne, Indiana. They get the big Heroes and Legends show. It's the 12th one of these. They do an annual show every year. Heroes and Legends up there. It's going to be all kind of people. You mentioned Kelly Kelly. Kelly Kelly is going to be at that, along with Arn Anderson is going to be there, and Hurricane, and Eric Bischoff.
Kevin Nash,
and Gail Kim.
The Hurricane.
It's a ton of people, yeah.
Eugene will be there?
Eugene, all right. I haven't seen him in forever. Allen County War Memorial Coliseum. That's this coming Saturday. Heroes and Legends in Fort Wayne, Indiana.
There you go.
Yeah. And then I got to get up. I'll be flying on Easter Sunday.
Oh.
Yeah, that's not good.
Well, then you have the following weekend. You're even more busy.
The following weekend, I'm going to be in Danbury, Connecticut. And that's one of the things I wanted to mention going back to WrestleCon. But in Danbury, Connecticut, there's going to be a couple big matches. One of the matches is me and Keith Youngblood going against this group called the King's Court for the NEW Tag Team titles. And this could be a chance for me to win my, 170-something title. You know, I thought you had
160, we're at like 168, 169.
Well, did you know that me and Rikishi won the tag team, the Grizzly?
That's true. Okay, so I thought we're like at 169 now, then, or something.
Yeah,
I don't know.
and then I won the Grizzly weight, just a single championship.
Oh my God! Okay.
And so now, if I add this on, I think it'll be 171, something like that.
Jeez, well, that's good. Okay, there you go.
So Keith Youngblood and I are going to have Ricky Steamboat in our corner that night.
The Dragon. In
Danbury. So that'll be fun. And then also that night, David Arquette is wrestling this guy that calls himself the King, King Bryant. So that's going to be a fun match. And then going back to that, on Saturday at WrestleCon, when David Arquette was sitting right down from me, as I was getting up to leave, Lauren and I had gathered all our stuff up, and we were heading over to do the show with JR. All of a sudden, there's this big commotion. We couldn't hardly get through. And apparently there was a confrontation. This King Brian guy had come to WrestleCon in his gear, had his big crown on and all his robe, and his two wrestlers behind him, the King's Court guys, and they confronted David Arquette.
Oh, no.
Yeah, and so next thing you know, all the fans are around there taking pictures. David Arquette climbs up on his table with all his pictures on it and dives off on these three guys. And somebody said, "Hey, aren't you wrestling those guys? Go help him." And I got to go to this show with JR. Let me out of the way. I told Lauren, "Sneak, come on, we got to sneak through this crowd here." So I let them do their little angle there. But I watched for a minute, and David tried to. I don't know if he tried to power bomb this King Brian to a table. Well, were these big plastic tables. They wouldn't break. So he bounced him off the table, and then David Arquette stood up and laid the guy on the table, and he tried to do a big leg drop on him to break to the table, and it still didn't break. So these guys, I left as they were slugging it out there in the WrestleCon. I mean, just making the biggest scene you've ever seen. So that will be finished up on April 26th in Danbury, Connecticut.
Whew, so you're staying busy. Busy month of April.
And then that Saturday, the next night, we're in some place called Holy, what is it?
Hoboken?
I don't know.
Hoboken, Massachusetts.
Yes. And it's called Spring Slam that's happening there. And so anyway, it looks like there's going to be a 6-man tag team involving a bunch of these guys that were the King Brian guy and all those guys. And then I got Tupelo Comic Con's coming up, and the WWE just contacted me a while ago and wanted me to go out to the Cauliflower Alley Club in Las Vegas. And Lauren will not let me turn down a trip to Las Vegas no matter what.
Well, then you got StarCast in Vegas next month.
StarCast next month in Vegas.
2 Vegas trips coming up within a month.
And then I got to be down Wednesday at Fitzgerald's Casino and tape another Jerry Lawler show. You know, I taped my first new show down there week before last. And it's all about Jimmy Valiant. It's great. I got some interviews from Jimmy Valiant, and we taped the show with Fitzgerald's in the background, and it's going to be a cool show. And that starts this coming Saturday, and then got to go down Wednesday and tape some more shows for that.
Jeez, staying busy, King.
Oh my goodness,
busy spring.
It ain't easy.
And Indian season has started, so now you gotta, I know you watch the Indians games religiously. So you gotta
to watch them. Try to watch them religiously. Yeah. And even though they got a winning record right now, I don't know what it is. It's hard for me to get into it right now with all these. I don't even recognize the lineup.
Oh my God, there's guys I had not, that if you
I don't know who they are.
If you weren't a diehard fan, you had no clue who they are.
No clue.
Well, Kitness is coming back.
I am a diehard fan, and I don't know who these guys are.
I want to know when's Brown season. When's the Brown season going to start?
I don't know. I can't wait.
4 months from that starting, so that's going to be great.
Yep.
And then, Indians winning record, but they got.
What about Johnny Manziel? They flaked out the whole thing.
Oh my God!
Fizzled out as soon as he got to Memphis.
He wrecked the league. He wrecked the AFF, whatever.
Yeah, whatever that was.
Yeah, man.
And nobody even noticed.
Nope. He played one game.
Yep.
He was gone.
He threw an interception, and he tried to tackle the guy that intercepted the ball and knocked him goofy. They said it was so fun to watch him get carried off the field or helped off the field.
Well, he was really high. Not really high. He had high remarks for Memphis, though. He said Memphis was a great.
Well, you know what I told you when me and Rikishi wrestled the Steiner brothers, and we won the titles there at the top of the FedEx Forum in front of, I don't know, about 16 or 17,000 people. He was there watching, sitting on the bench. He was sitting on the Houston Rockets bench at a Memphis Grizzlies game. Of course, he's from Texas. So.
Yeah, he was from Texas.
But yeah, he was there.
But no Manziel on Beale Street.
I know it. And then I saw a tweet after the league folded. It was a tweet of him, and he's like sitting in a hot tub, and he's all relaxing. This looked like a beautiful scenery in the background. And his tweet was, "Some things never change." And then somebody, how people can make a reply. Yeah. Somebody put on there right away when he put that up. Somebody replied, "What, you being unemployed again?"
Oh, no.
And so this is great. I loved it. Right after that, then Johnny Manziel wrote back, he said, "I make more money sitting on my couch than you do in a year, you broke ass," or something. So I'm sure he got a big Twitter war going with that guy.
Yeah.
What else to talk about?
Jeez, I think we covered it all.
Let's see. I might have to trim my nails here or something.
We talked for a while, so we're getting
check my teeth for plaque.
Getting caught up. So we covered everything, King. I'm not going to ask you for a final word because I'm not allowed to do
the other
that.
two things I did at WrestleMania, I had these little notes here. I did some voiceover stuff for 2K20.
Oh, you're going to be in. Oh, well, at least your voice will be in the video game, right?
Somewhere. I can't divulge why or what or whatever. But I would just say this. I did some voiceovers for 2K20, and it's a big secret. I don't know what's going to happen with that. Something good. I don't know.
I mean, it has to be something good.
And then I went down and I did Byron Saxton, and I did some on cameras for the new SmackDown 20th anniversary DVD that's going to be coming out.
Oh,
Did you know they still made DVDs?
I did not know that. I mean, Blu-ray. Yes, well, Blu-rays.
Yes, so anyway, yeah, me and Byron hosted that, the SmackDown 20th anniversary DVD. It's going to be it's going to be like 6 hours long, 2-disc thing. So it's going to be cool.
I'll give you what, Byron Saxton, he really did an awesome job at WrestleMania calling matches. I mean, talking with you, King, I'm critical of like the current state of the commentary, but Byron Saxton did an incredible job being a color guy for the matches, especially the Kofi match. He did a really good job. I'll give him that.
Well, good. I know Byron's a good guy.
Yeah,
really is.
All right, King. Well, that's going to wrap it up. I'm not going to ask you for the final word, but I know you're a busy man, so you can follow us on Twitter at Dinner with King. You can pick up all the podcast apps and follow the King at Jerry Lawler. And anything else, King?
That's it.
That's it. We'll talk to everybody later here on Dinner with the King.
All right.
The preceding show is a Pod Avenue production.
If you're listening to Dinner with the King, then you are definitely a fan of old school wrestling. You love to hear stories from the wild and crazy 1980s, when the titanic struggle between the territories and national expansion took place. Imagine if there was a cable TV drama like you'd see on Netflix or HBO that showed this era. That day has come. Kings of the Ring is the first audio drama podcast based on wrestling. It's a fictional retelling of the history and lifestyle of the 1980s wrestling industry, while following the rise and fall of the kings and power brokers of that day, all written and produced like a cable TV drama. Search Kings of the Ring from any podcast app or go straight to the website kingsotr.com. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Kings of the Ring.
Greetings, wrestling fans. This is Dave Dynasty, host of The Dave Dynasty Show, the podcast that every week brings you nearly 2 hours of pro wrestling goodness from the Midwest. We feature interviews with the legends of the past, stars of today, and the prospects of tomorrow. We have segments that feature classic wrestling audio, whole episodes devoted to the history of Midwest pro wrestling, and much, much more. Do not miss an episode of The Dave Dynasty Show. We are available on all podcast platforms, or you can access past episodes and all of our social media links by visiting davedynasty.com. Be good, be safe, and keep on growing.